Om. 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 Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Sahana bhavatu, sahano bhunaktu, saha viryam karavavahe, tejasvinavaditamastu, ma vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. So here we go. Let us start with an interesting question. I want you to look at verse number 32 in chapter 6. Verse number 32 in chapter 6. It's a very powerful, very, very interesting verse. Atmaupamyena sarvatra samam pashyati Arjuna sukham va yadi va dukkham sayogi paramo mataha. So that is what he is saying. Now, here is my question. So the question is, firstly, what is the meaning of Atmaupamyena sarvatra? What is the meaning? What does it mean to you? We are doing chapter 6, verse number 32. We're trying to understand Atmaupamyena sarvatra. What is the meaning of Atmaupamyena sarvatra? We will go to the next words later. You have to
It is
unmute.
like Samatva Yoga Muchate.
Sorry, can you explain?
Yeah, it is like जो मन की चंचलता को आप एक स्थिरता में लाने के लिए हम आप
No. The literal meaning is Atma. The word Aupamyena comes from Upama, comparing. Atma
It's
Upamyena.
available everywhere. It pervades
No.
everywhere.
Atma, self, Aupamyena, similar to, sarvatra, everywhere. Similar to oneself, everywhere. Literal word by word translation. What does it actually mean?
I think it basically refers to he feels a oneness with all of creation. A oneness, that is, what is happening around him is happening in him also. He feels that the sukham and dukkham of everything that's happening around him happens in him, which is why we say that with realization comes that infinite compassion.
Okay. Any other thoughts? Lalita ji? Yes, Sudeep? See, when you say similar to me, similar where? Similar in the body? Similar in the mind?
In its essence.
Correct, right? So when you say I am similar to you, then I have to go beyond the body, mind, intellect, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Go back to Manisha Panchakam. Manisha Panchakam from Acharya. You remember the story, right? Where the Chandal comes and then Acharya says that whether he is
Gacha.
wherever if he in the Manisha Panchakam he says it doesn't matter whether the person is a Chandal or whether the person is a well-versed Pandit. If a person comes to this knowledge and thinking that everything around him is Brahman, such a person is my Guru. When he says similar to oneself, he transcends. See, you have to remember one thing, at least from our Advaitic interpretation of the Bhagavad Gita, when he says similar to oneself, you have to understand that the externals are all nothing but the vikara of the Panchabhutas, acting under the influence of the Trigunas. We saw that in chapter 4, right? So all that is happening around us is nothing but a manifestation of the Panchabhutas acting through the Trigunas. And therefore, he says that what you are seeing around you, go beyond and see that is similar. See, he says pashyati, samam pashyati, right? Now, how do you apply this? That is the bigger question. How do you apply this in your day-to-day life? See, there is a very simple thing, okay, here. I'm coming from a very interesting perspective, which I say that fake it till you make it. Right? Very American saying, but then very, very applicable. Right? If I sit in meditation, is my mind meditative? No. But do I therefore not sit in meditation and close my eyes and at least pretend to be in meditation? Yes, I need to train my body and my mind to be able to sit in one place. So fake it till you make it. So what is it that we are being asked to fake? I haven't attained realization. I am not seeing Sudhir in a Puma t-shirt as the same as Samir wearing some red colored jibba with Omkar written all over it. They are not the same. I'm not seeing that as same. But how will that affect my behavior? If I understand this, at least, if I don't realize it, if I understand it, how do I behave? What is my behavior? What is it? How does it impact my behavior? All yours.
If everyone's pain is also your pain, then you will not want to inflict pain on others. So this may be the root of the concept of ahimsa, which again in the interpretation of ahimsa here is when you say non-violence. I think there has been a little bit of thing. Therefore, you should not kill anything, even if you have to live. You're not supposed to kill. That doesn't make.
No. We'll get to ahimsa later on in chapter 13. Don't worry about ahimsa, and I will explain how there are 64 different types of ahimsa also there. So we will get there later. But it's not about himsa. It's about. So I think you're on the right track in terms of saying that I feel his pain. I feel his pleasure, right? Which you're on the right track. How does that change your behavior? What does it do in terms of your behavior? There's a particular quality that needs to come here. It's a very English word and very much the in thing in the corporate world today. I do a lot of training around. No. Sudhir is the CEO of some company. He is going to be. You are asking him to be compassionate to a non-performer. He is going to hit you. He'll be very, very dispassionate about hitting you on the head. The word is empathy.
Empathy. Okay.
The word is empathy. We are talking so much about emotional intelligence nowadays. The roots are here. Are we emotionally intelligent? Do we behave emotionally intelligently? Does emotional intelligence mean that I will not show anger? Please be careful with the words I'm using. Showing anger has nothing to do with being angry. So showing anger. So emotional intelligence will mean that yes, I know and feel his pain, but yet I have to show him anger because I want to get him onto the right path. That is why the deities in our iconography, they hold those fierce weapons of mass destruction. Lalita holds a pasha and an ankusha. Pasha to tie you back to where you're supposed to be. Ankusha to goad you into the right path. Does this mean that she doesn't love you? Of course, her love is infinite. So, one very important aspect of what we are learning in chapter 6, when we're looking at Dhyana Yoga, is that it is not only the control of the mind, but it is also how that control of the mind reflects in our day-to-day behavior. Are we actually empathetic? And that at least you don't need to fake. You can learn to be empathetic. Right? But yes, go ahead.
So, actually, because I'm actually in the same stage in the Aproksha Anubhuti, it's very interesting where Acharya, Patanjali said, you got to have ahimsa, cleanliness of mind, and all those things. He's telling you what to do. Acharya just goes directly to what do you want to achieve by doing that, and he asks you to focus on the goal, and which is basically completely focusing your attention on that infinite self. And he says, when you do that, then all that other things will automatically follow. They will automatically happen because your attitude now has changed. And I was struggling in my meditation to shut the world out. You've also pointed out that I cannot sit when there's some noise going on there and I'm not able to focus. I'm not able to shut the world out. And I realized that when I completely started looking inwards and so on, then the sense organs had no function, no role to play there. And actually, I started to find the silence creep in. I have tinnitus in my right ear. Even that sound started to die away. And that was that was actually for me goosebumps, because I've not, since probably my teenage years, I've not had a moment without that ringing in my ear. And suddenly
so completely aside from this, is that if you ever come to Bombay, please go and visit a particular homeopath who I have been recommending. She has cured one of my mentees, somebody who I have been mentoring. He's got completely cured of tinnitus with her medication. So it's something which is curable according to homeopathy. Anyway, coming back to this, I have a different question. Why does he say that such a yogi is the highest according to me? He says yogi paramamata. Why does he put this person at a very high level? Why does he say put him at the highest pedestal?
You have to reach that highest level before you have that connect. So to make it, you can keep faking it, but you will not have that empathy until you make it.
No, you can have empathy. Empathy is behavior. Empathy is behavior. Behavior comes from mind, intellect, body. Right? It comes from your vasanas. He is talking of saying somebody who has, yes, you are right, made it. Why is such a person who has made it the highest? Why is that person called the highest?
Because as Acharya says, he has achieved that unity with that self. In order to get this connectivity, he has achieved the unity with the self.
So
that is the goal, isn't it?
So therefore, extrapolate further. Again, you're going again, stopping in the middle. Extrapolate further. That self is nothing but the ultimate.
Yeah.
And that is the realization. That self, see, otherwise you will get stopped at Sankhya and not at Advaita. Advaita and Sankhya puts you saying you are Prakriti, you are Purusha, everything else is Prakriti. Now, therefore, there is Raghu Purusha, Tudhir Purusha, Lalita Purusha, Veena Purusha, and everything else is Prakriti. And very, very confusing now. Now there are 5 Purushas sitting around. Right? That will not help. To go beyond that to that particular point where there is only one which is the ultimate. Therefore, he says, Paramo Mataha. Yogi, such a yogi is a Paramo Mataha. such a person is the ultimate because he has gone beyond, transcended to that ultimate. So again, in the Dhyana Yoga, what is the focus? The focus is all the time focus on what is that ultimate, and that is my goal. See, if you do not have a goal, I don't know whether it's a Chinese proverb or an American proverb or whatever, but it's a very apt proverb. It says, if you don't have a goal, all roads are good. Right? So, I mean, if you're going out for what I call a long drive, you go anywhere. You can go wherever you want. It doesn't matter. But if you have a goal, then that goal becomes predominantly something that eats you up. And to put it again back to our behavior, is that goal such that it literally keeps you awake? Right? To paraphrase our past president. So, is it something that literally keeps you awake rather than what you see in your dreams, what you see when you are sleeping, I have a little bit of spare time, so now let me do some scripture reading. Right? I have some spare time. Let me do some whatever, some quest. It doesn't work that way. Right? If you are driving to Delhi, you can't suddenly say, okay, I am driving to Delhi, but now let me take a detour to Khajuraho and then come back and then I will go to Jaipur and then from Jaipur to Jaisalmer, because those look very interesting. No, the goal has to be subsuming everything that you're looking at. So that's my first one that we talked about. I want you to open up chapter 7, verse 19. Chapter 7, verse 19. Veena-ji, if you have the verse in front of you, will you recite the verse once for everybody's benefit?
Yes, sir. Bahunam Janmana. Verse number 19.
Yes.
Chapter 7. Okay. Yes. Bahunam Janmanamante Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabha.
Why does it take so many words?
Sorry, sir?
Why does it take so many words? Bahunam janmanam ante. Why so many words? Why not now? And this is not my question. This is Gurudev's question. When he was doing so anyway, the format of whatever I'm doing is actually just 100% replication of some beautiful structures that have been set for us by Gurudev. So, and this was one of his verses that he used to always pick up. Any quiz, repeated quizzes, again, the same question would come. Bahunam janmanamante. And then he would ask, why many births? Why not right now? Why not right now? And his roaring voice with that hidden Malayalam twang inside, he would literally shout at all of us, why not now? Now that's my question.
Athato.
I guess that body, what we talk about in Kapilopakyanam also, it says that it is very difficult for the human body to really get devoid of the pull of senses.
Okay.
And therefore, Kapila then goes on to say that therefore why bhakti? Because bhakti leads you to kind of pulls you away from the senses and so on. So it is not, if you are following it just to understand it, then to get out of that body consciousness is a very difficult exercise. I presume that's what.
I will counter this by saying that how long can darkness exist in a room if a lamp has been lit?
that is true. But that journey to light the lamp without the, either it is instantaneous, it can happen instantaneously, but otherwise to the pull of the body, the magnetism is so strong that
Very
it is
nice.
very difficult to get out of.
Very, very nice. This is what we need to do manan on. Very beautiful. Because that point of transition from not knowing to knowing is instantaneous. There is, you can't distinguish. At this point, I did not know and now I know. It is just there. It happens. But that journey to reach that point is this entire process of self-purification that we are doing. Purification of the vasanas. Continual, all the practices. Now, unfortunately, there is no calculation of the number of vasanas that we are carrying, right? Which is why Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita also, he says, karmano gahano gatihi. The ways of karma are so deep that even I can't tell you what will come next. So your karma, what is your karma? Ultimately, it is nothing but a fructification of the vasana that you have was there in your mind as a deep tendency. So that tendency of vasana, which is now manifesting as an action, is going to give you a further result, and so on and so forth. This continuous process of attaching to the result, and therefore the next vasana, and therefore the next vasana. The whole process of whatever we are doing in the Bhagavad Gita, of stilling the mind, of going inward, of becoming more incisive. In my last session, I talked about this. And I said, spirituality actually doesn't make you stray away from the world. It makes your interaction with the world far more incisive. It makes your intellect far more sharper. Because you start questioning in a much more sharper, incisive way, rather than accepting things at face value. But when we do that process, Bhuta Shuddhikaran, purification of the body, he says in chapter 6, isn't it? Sucho deshe, sit in a clean place. If the body is not important, why do I need to sit in a clean place? Yes, please.
Also, I was thinking it is because it is earlier, maybe till now, what janmas we have taken is one part of it. But in this janma, we can, it is possible if only we can, as he says, prapadyati, we surrender.
So so it reminded of a very interesting incident of Gurudev again. And he says, somebody asked, how do I know if I have progressed? It's a very important question, because it doesn't have any GPS, it doesn't have any roadmap. Each of us is doing his own thing. Each of us is carrying his own bag of rasgullas. Given that entire structure, there is no way. How will I find out whether I'm making progress or not? And he started laughing. He literally held his stomach and laughing. And he said, you are right now here holding this book of Acharyas in your hand. We were doing Tattva Bodha at that point of time. You're holding this book in your hand and you think you have not progressed. That itself is an indication of progress. So, progress is going to happen. And depending upon what impetus we have and at what choices we exercise at this point of time, our Purushartha now is what makes our future. And therefore, he says that while it takes by many births, your opportunity is now. That is what this verse indicates. Because you see, there are interpretations which have said, oh, it takes many births, so it's okay. This birth I will only progress by 1 meter. Next birth I may go for 1 kilometer. Because anyway, Krishna has said, Bahunam Janmanam Ante. Not this birth. Bahunam Janmanam Ante. Who said this birth?
So this is the thing. I mean, when I read this verse, the Bahunam Janmanam Ante was This is an incidental part. Yeah, but that's already done. That's in the past. Okay. Focusing, and Sadhguru is very clear on this. He says, if you want moksha, you can get it in this life. You have to want it
No,
really
so that is
strongly.
so that is why Gurudev used to interpret this verse as a verse of opportunity. It says Bahunam Janmanam Ante does not mean, while the Sanskrit structure of this
Yes.
can mean at the end of many lives, it does not necessarily mean that it is the past lives or that there will be more lives in the future. You can interpret it both ways. And there are interpretations which say that it will, even now, it will take many more lives and so on and so forth. Look at it from a point of empowerment, a point of choice, a point of opportunity, and say, Bahunam Janmanam Ante, yes, all those lives are over. The life is now, it is here now. Viveka Chudamani, verse number 2, it starts by saying, Manushya Janma is the first step of the 9 steps. And he says, you uses the word Durlabham. He uses the word Durlabham, Manushya Janma, Durlabham. 84 lakh yonis, you have crossed to reach the last one called Manushya Janma. Please use it. That is the opportunity given to you. The rest of the verse is very simple. Vasudeva, Sarvamiti, etc., etc. And such people are rare. We have already seen multiple times. So we'll not get there. Chapter 8, verse 5. Or rather, verses 5 and 6 together. Raghuji, if you can recite verses 5 and 6.
Antakale cha mameva smaranam muktva kalevaram.
Smaranam uktva. So it's not muktva.
Smaranam uktva, yeah.
Oh.
Smaranam uktva kalevaram. Yeah. Prayati
No. Sorry, my mistake. It's Smaranam is muktva. It's Smaran
Muktva, okay.
muktva. Smaran muktva.
Muktva.
Antakale cha mameva smaran muktva.
There's no
Muktva.
num. Yeah, that's right. Smaran muktva kalevaram yah prayati madbhavam yati nastyatra samshayah yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajyatyenante kalevaram.
Tyajatyante
Yajyatyante kalevaram tam tamevaiti kaunteya sada tadbhava bhavitah.
Okay. So, question. The question is, why is remembrance at the time of death important? How am I supposed to be able to do that? And how is that impacting me on my day-to-day life? How can I make that into something which I practice?
Do you please repeat the question?
Why is remembrance at the time of death important? How can I make sure that I will remember at the time of death? And how does that impact my day-to-day living? How do I make this a practice?
By
Which question are you answering?
repeating
Which question
regularly.
are you answering? Which question are you
How
answering?
to remember it? How to remember it at that time, last moments.
Okay.
It's only with the repeated, the earlier times when one is otherwise, before the Antya time, if one does, even at that time, hopefully one will remember.
You're saying hopefully. Hopefully is a probability. Death is a certainty. Death is a certainty. Bodily death is a certainty. And
Yeah.
therefore, no
Yeah.
probabilities won't function over here. He's very clearly saying, if you remember at the time of death, this will happen. Now, my question is, why is that important? Why is that remembering important? How do I do it? And how do I make that into, how does that impact my day-to-day living? So how do you do this remembering? Let's start from there. How do you do this remembering?
By remembering all the time. by
Continuous
literally
japa.
being in.
Okay, continuous japa. Very good. So therefore, you are making tiffin for your granddaughter, and the tiffin for the granddaughter is being made with japa. Does that happen? You are scolding your maid for not cleaning under the bed, and you are saying Hare Krishna, under the bed, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare under the bed. Is that how you do the?
No, it is not like that.
Then what is continuous japa? How do you do
It's
continuous japa?
offering one, whatever one does as an offering, as a puja
Very
itself.
good. Very good. Very good. Very good. We haven't done chapter 12 yet, but you have actually touched upon what's this said in chapter 12. It says that fine, you can't do your day-to-day living by sitting down in one place and doing what possibly ISKCON, they say 16 malas you have to do every day. Very good. 16 malas, I mean, of Hare Krishna mantra, it is about 2.5 hours, which is not too much to invest, which is fairly doable. But then after that, what do I do? After the 16 malas, I go around and I'm going around shouting at people, cursing people, cheating somebody for making my own life a little bit more pleasurable. What is it that you are doing? It's a beautiful story here. This is during Satya Yuga. So in Satya Yuga, the devas used to come for accepting the puja. They would have come to accept offerings being made in a yajna. So there was a Satyanarayan puja being organized by a king. And the king, obviously, because he was a king, he got golden Kela Stamba made and decorated that with chains of diamonds and so on and so forth. And he put the kalash, and the kalash is made of gold, and the coconut was made of silver, and so on and so forth. And then the murti, everything was put in place. And he was devoted. While the external show was also there, he was totally devoted. And he was doing the puja. And all that puja was happening, Vishnu was not coming. So, and then almost at the end of the puja, suddenly Vishnu appeared. So the king then was a little upset. And he said, Lord, I have been praying for such a long time, and we finished the puja almost. And that's when you are coming. How is this? I mean, this is not right. It's not fair. That actually, while I was leaving for your place, there was a thief who was digging a hole in your treasury. And while digging the hole, he was mentally saying, I am doing this for you, my Lord. Because even this work is yours. Please help me. So I had to go and help him there. See, it's about the attitude with which we work. Now, fair enough. We understand this, right? And we will, when we look at chapter 12, we will see very, very practical tips given by Krishna himself, where he says, how do I put that into my day-to-day life? Why is this remembrance important? And I mean, is it really possible to be able to remember at the time of your death? Now, we have not experienced, none of us have experienced death. So whatever we will say is completely hypothetical. But is there some sort of an empirical understanding of this?
So,
yes, please.
there are two parts to this. One is the remembrance. How do you get to that state when you are remembering it? And as Lalita Madam was saying, you whatever you're doing it, you're always doing it in the act of a an offering, that you're always keeping in mind that it's not you are doing it, it's being done. Thy will be done. Okay. But then there's the other aspect of this statement, verse, which says, at the birth and death, at the death point, the whatever you remember, you'll achieve. So there's a second part. Okay, I remember, but how do you prove that, yes, if I remember, I will achieve? So the second part I felt was, see, the act of birth here, I'm not the physical baby coming out of the womb, but the birth is where the soul enters the fetus. Okay, and death being where the soul departs the body. Okay, so these are actually a schism in the space-time continuum. At point where that connection to that BMI is made or is broken. So obviously at the point of schism, what remains then is the spirit. So if you're only focusing and you're in that spirit, you will go there. If whatever you are focusing on,
Raghuji,
you're going to see that.
Raghuji, I'm still interrupting, and I'm saying that whatever you are saying is hypothetical. I'm looking at an empirical proximity to what Krishna is saying.
A Shastra Pramanam.
No. Empirical does not mean. Empirical. Agreed. Pramanam by definition has to have Anumana, Upamana, Shastra, Apta, Pratyaksha. Is there something where you can say there is a Upamana Pramana? Not only Shastra, Upamana Pramana. I'll give you an example.
See, like for example, when we sleep.
Yes, Lalita ji. Absolutely.
When we sleep, when we say whatever we are chanting at the last, before we go to sleep, that comes to mind suddenly when we wake up in the morning.
Absolutely right. And do this as a practical example or a practice for any one of us. If you haven't done it, try it. Think of the weirdest thing. I don't know, whatever you think is weird. I mean, take some rasgulla if that is weird enough for you, right? Take a 6-legged dog or some such thing which is weird. Think deeply about it. Imagine it just before you're going to sleep. Its color, its whiskers, its ear, the way it wags its tail, all of that. As you are going to sleep, keep that thought. And then the thoughts will die down. Your body will be tired. It will go to sleep. And when you wake up, one of the first things that will just pop up in your head with nothing prompting it will be that 6-legged dog.
Yeah.
I mean, this as an example in psychotherapy is used in terms of the waking state, dream state continuum. So in dream state, while there is no continuum, in the waking state there is continuity, and therefore how this connects, and so on and so forth. But this is exactly what we have been talking about. What is sleep called? Sleep is called the small death. So Upamana Pramanam is there. Now, is it possible that I remember the name of the Lord at the time of my death? Yes. We have Gandhi as an example, whose last words were, "Hey Ram," publicly. He didn't say, "Ah." So what you make a practice of is what will come out. So there is another beautiful story here. Yes, Lalita ji.
No, you please tell. I'll tell after that.
So there is this person. He was climbing onto a coconut tree to get the coconuts down. And Parvati Parameshwara, who are the Jagat Pita Mata, who were passing by, Jagat Mata, being very, very compassionate, looked down and saw this person, and she saw that he was about to fall. It was in his destiny, so to speak. And this man had the vibhuti on him. He was also, while he was turning the coconuts, he was saying Shiva, 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 Shiva. So she then said, see, he's calling your name even now. You must save him. Don't let his body get destroyed now. So he said, no, that is his destiny. That is bound to happen. Then she said, okay, now let me put a condition. I will save him. But if he falls and he says, Appa, you have to go. If he says, Amma, I will go. He fell. And while he was falling, he said, Ayo. So therefore, you see, our culture is so very beautiful. When in my grandfather, I used to remember seeing this. He would sneeze. And after sneezing, he would say, Shri Krishna Sharanamam. Not sorry. After sneezing, he would say, Shri Krishna Sharanamam. Right? And he would do this with all bodily activities. All bodily activities. At least before eating, do we say Brahmarpanam? One small activity. At least before waking up and getting off the bed, do we at least look at our hands and say Karagre Vasati Lakshmi? Our entire culture was built around the fact that we need to get free. All of it was oriented towards that. And I'm strongly exhorting. This verse is a very beautiful verse because it gives us those practices, it ties us back to those practices. Wake up with Karagre Vasati Lakshmi. Wake up with touching the floor and saying, Samudra Vasana Devi, taking pardon from the earth. Take a bath with Gange Cha Yamune Chaiva. Light the lamp with Shubham Karoti. Eat food with Brahmarpanam. Go to sleep with Nidra Rupena Namastasyai 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 Namo Namaha. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Nidra Rupena Samstita.
Yes, Anna. And
yes, please go ahead.
No, can you please continue? I will say it. I'd like to hear you first.
So we are moving on then to the next verse. And this is again one of my favorite verses.
Okay, then if you are going to the next one, I will speak.
Yes, please
one
go
was
ahead.
that, Samarth Ramdas Swamiji, Shivaji's guru.
Yes.
He has written many in Marathi. And one of them is Ja ja stali he manazaya maze tya tya stali he nij roop tuze mithe vite mastaka ja ठिकाणी te te tuze sadguru payadoni. So when putting my head on the pillow, this automatically comes to mind. This OV or a shloka, whatever OV it's called in Marathi. So, and the last moments, I've seen my mother say it because I was with her at that time. And the last thing she said was, oh. And even my father, he was chanting loudly, Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. And when he stopped saying, my mother and my bhabhi realized that it was over. So till the last moment they were doing,
Wonderful. So this practice, can we make it something that is at least day-to-day part of our life? Fine. If it is not something that you need to be able to train your mind to keep coming back. Right? So let's go to chapter 9, verse 22. Sudhirji, are you okay reciting?
Ananyas chintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham.
Question is, two questions. Number one, what are the three things that he is asking from us in terms of our spiritual practice? Do these things that he is talking about in spiritual practice, do they spill over into our day-to-day life? And when he says yoga kshemam vaham yaham, how does he carry? Vaham yaham means I will carry. Literally, literal meaning is I will carry. Right? So, vahami aham. I will carry. I carry. How does he carry? How does he carry whatever the fruits? Three questions. Yes, please. What are the three things that he's asking? How does that spill over into our day-to-day life? And how is it that he carries?
That you have mentioned one story, Bengali story in the class, that one person is a very big bhakt. So, and after his death, he goes to the Bhagavan and asks, because always when he walks, one footstep follows wherever he goes. When some difficulties come, that that steps goes front and it saves his life or something. It helps him. That is how he takes the he helps the in yoga kshema mahamyam.
So are you saying
And
that
he lifts the person and then he puts it only two steps. Yeah.
then there is a problem, no? Big problem. Because in the earlier chapter, he had already said that you have to lift yourself. Now he is saying, I will lift you. I will carry for you. Now some sort of inconsistency. And I'm unable to understand. Yes, please go ahead, Raghuji.
The three things are constant. It says worship, but it's for me, it is constant chintan of the Supreme and not thinking of other things. That's the second one. And the third one is control, bringing all your desires under control. So those are the three things. And here, carry is used metaphorically, in my opinion, because what is it he's going to? Yoga and Chema, that is what you wish to possess and what you protect that you already possess. So both of them he will take care of. That's what it means here, where carry is used in a figurative way.
Okay. Any other thoughts? Sorry, anyone wants to say something? See, three things that he has talked about: Ananya Chinta, Pari Upasana, and Nitya Abhyuktanam. Three things. I typically interpret this a little differently. I mean, not differently, but the way I look at it is Ananya Chinta means, am I doing it always single-mindedly? Which means, is my goal bigger than me? See, I will do something when the goal is bigger than me. But if I am bigger than the goal, then I will give up the goal. Isn't it? So, is there a gravitational force? And therefore, the question here is of sufficiency. Question here is of sufficiency. Then the second one he says is pari upasate, not Paryupasate means pari upasate. Worshipping in an excellent way. Worshipping in a more dedicated way. Right? Am I actually doing things in the right manner? Am I applying my mind in doing this, whatever I'm doing? Am I doing that with my correct dedication, with my correct faculties? I put the word here, proficiency. Proficiency. And then, nitya abhiyuktanam. Nitya, always, continuously, consistency. Now, whether in the spiritual life or whether in your any place of any goal that you have, you're passing the, getting through into the IIT, the goal was bigger than what you are. My getting through my CA was a goal bigger than what I was. Getting into IIM was a bigger goal for Sudhir than what he is as an individual. And therefore, what did we do? We studied a lot, sufficiency. We studied with the right books, proficiency, and for a consistent period of time. The role is very clear. Now, when he says, Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham, here the aham is you. I will protect, therefore, what you have and bring what you do not have. I is yourself, not somebody wearing blue in color, wearing yellow clothes. Such a being is not going to come and hold your hand. Such a being will also come for a different purpose. Such a being exists. Such a being will come. But for your efforts, the efforts will fructify. Now go back to chapter 2, verse 47. When he says, it means that do you put in, and then he go back to chapter 2, verse 50, and he says, Yoga Karmasu Kaushalam, proficiency, expertise in action. What is expertise? Expertise is these three things. So when we put in that expertise, when we put in that effort, then the results will come. There is a guarantee to the results, is what he's saying. And has not that been true in anything that you do? And every time you have had a failure in your material world, in your life, in your spiritual world, you go back and examine and say, did you study enough? Whatever it was. Did you do enough? Did you do it with the right dedication, with the right tools? And were you consistent? And most of the time, at least in my personal life, I have found wherever I have failed, and I've failed multiple times, wherever I have failed and done introspection on those failures, I found that there is something lacking in one of these three. Success comes with only one formula. You see, it's a multiplication, sufficiency into proficiency into consistency. If any one of the factors goes down, the result is going to be different. Chaliye, we will have to close today. Post this, let me